Welcome back, Commander, to another episode of Battlefield Tactics provided to you by Steel Talon's Rule. Today we will be looking at another rush, this time under the employment of both GDI and ZOCOM. Unfortunately, your boys at Steel Talon will not be able to provide this strategy as we have strayed away from the sonic emitters that ZOCOM employs for a more brute force approach with our devastating railguns. But nevertheless, in this strategy, since it is very glass cannon, very a risky strategy to employ, it is important that instead of scouting against our enemy, we provide a counter scout strategy. So initially what we will need to do is deploy two trained rifleman squads and placed wherever you feel fit on the battlefield to prevent bikes and buzzers from heading our way to be able to sniff out what sneaky plan it is that we are employing. In addition to that, we are not going to go your standard two refineries to boost our economy. It is instead important to make sure we develop our tier 2 technology as quick as possible. So build one refinery, and in addition to that, one more harvester from your war factory to help keep the flow going very quickly while we do sort of take a bit of a hit from not having such a robust economy as a regular expansion tactic would. Now, as you see, we quickly have our command post as quick as we possibly can, and it is time to deploy our rig and our shatterer. Now, to our surprise, our enemy, a sort of GDI splinter faction we seem to have come across on the battlefield today, has been able to quickly get an APC over to our side of the battlefield, and in addition to that, you will see a Predator shortly arriving behind it. Now, this will slow us down a little bit, but the next part of the strategy is about to be revealed to you, as right after you build your rig and build your shatterer, it is very important to support these two powerful ground units with some devastating Orca aircraft. Now, the Orcas are a very powerful part of our arsenal, as they're able to harass and make very quick work of enemy harvesters. But in addition to that, since this is such a fragile strategy, it is important that we have our boys in the air protecting us from any counters we may come across. Now, as you've seen, I have just destroyed my command post to give me a bit more of a economy boost in order to create a little bit more units for support. And as we can also see here, we are met by this Predator tank, who could have very easily crippled our strategy here. So what we've done is we've deployed our rig and we've used it as effectively as we can. Now it is important, as you see here, to use the rig as a sort of defense, as a sort of barrier to your shatterer. It is the most important part of your strategy. The rig alone will not be powerful enough or fast enough to destroy harvesters in time. The shatterer plus the rig. Even though this is called the rig rush, both units are equally as important to the strategy and just important to each other for support. So, now that we have destroyed the potential counter to our rush, it is time to head forward to the enemy base, supporting it with orcas. As we have seen, we were caught a little bit off guard. So we're going to put a little bit more punch in the back of this strategy, bringing orcas to the base, making sure there are no more predator tanks or APCs or anything of the like waiting for us. Now, the rig of ours has finally arrived at the enemy Tiberium field, and it is now where we will do our dirty work. It is important to deploy your rig as close to the enemy Tiberium field as possible, so that we can snipe away as many harvesters as our enemy is using. Now, unfortunately, this GDI splinter faction we seem to be coming across in the battlefield today seems to be malfunctioning a bit. unfortunate for them, but a godsend for us, as it'll just make our job that much easier. Now, sometimes, even if this strategy is not countered, there are still going to be dangerous situations on the battlefield where we must adapt and employ new tactics to counter. Although the Rig Rush is especially effective against the alien factions, and especially against Reaper 17, a very mysterious cult-like faction that we've discovered from our research and intel on the battlefield, there is one thing that they may employ in their arsenal that could devastate us. There is a very cheap and very effective for its cost unit that the Skrin employs called the Disintegrators. In great mass, these fast, four-legged, laser beam pewing small creatures may be able to make quick work of our rig and our shatterer and leave us undefended. Now in this case, if you are able to come across a single squad of Shatterers, immediately change your tactics to adapt. You're going to want to stop all production of your albeit powerful Orcas for an even more versatile aircraft in all GDI, ZOCOM, and our very own Steel Talons arsenal. You're gonna want to get yourself some hammerheads. Now these hammerheads are able to tear up and obliterate enemy infantry, and if the Skrin faction is deciding to go against us with said disintegrators, those hammerheads will make sure to obliterate them and to completely take out that counter. As we can see now, the battle, is completely in our favor. We have our rig completely repaired, repairing our shatterer, and able to defend the units that we have sent to the enemy field, being able to make quick work and destroying their structures. And that is the Rig Rush. When utilized effectively and the enemy is not able to detect what's coming at them, it's very useful indeed.